Now, being in a foreign country does not mean that a Muslim should quit all Islamic rituals, including fasting in Ramadan. To know more about the activities of Indonesian Muslims staying or living abroad, we will talk with a number of Indonesian diaspora. And our guests today are from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Natasha. Hello, Natasha. Can you say hi to us?
Hello.
Okay, glad to hear you loud and clear. And also we got Hanifa from Okayama, Japan. Hello, Hanifa. Oyasuminasai. Minasai.
こんばんは。
Konbawa, Hanifa-chan. Okay, we'll be talking about fasting Ramadan abroad. So the first question is an easy peasy one. Is this your first time fasting abroad, far away from your hometown in Indonesia? Let's talk to Natasha first. You can go first, Natasha.
Okay, so this is actually my second time having Ramadan abroad in Malaysia because I'm the third year student. And my first year is actually during the COVID-19 pandemic, so I just came to Malaysia during my second year.
Okay, so you're a third year student and this is your second fasting in Malaysia. Okay, glad to know that. Now let's talk to Hanifa. Is this your first time fasting abroad and far away from hometown in Indonesia, Hanifa?
No, actually, because I already came to Japan since 2016, so it's already my seventh year, I think. Doing fasting abroad in Japan, previously in Tokyo, but right now in Okayama.
Okay, so it's your seventh year fasting abroad. Okay, glad to know. So here in Jakarta, if you guys miss out the Ramadan in Jakarta, it's 31 degrees, it's mostly cloudy and April skies. And today I have a ketoprak for sahur. So let's talk about the menu for sahur. This is our 22nd fasting. What do you have for sahur and what kind of cuisine are there in Malaysia, Natasha? If you can share us some of the cuisine, of course.
Okay, so for sahur, I usually go to bazaar because just like in Indonesia, we have a lot of bazaar also here in Malaysia. And for today's sahur, I just had this cake that I got from the bazaar. But in the bazaar itself, they have like a lot of cuisines. Like I think we all knows about nasi lemak and nasi kandar, and then ayam golek, and also ayam madu, which is very popular in the if you guys know the upin ipin carton from Malaysia. We have that also in the bazaar.
Okay, so glad to know in Malaysia they have the bazaar of Indonesian food and also Malaysian food. It's nasi lemak and nasi kandar, is it? Okay. So how about you, Hanifa-chan? What do you have for sahur and all of the Japanese cuisines in Ramadan there is? Can you share us some bits?
Yeah, actually, I'm very envy with Natasha's experience because in Japan, it's kind of difficult to find halal cuisine here. So mostly I will cook for myself, just the simply dish because I'm the only one who will eat. But yeah, for a special occasion, maybe me and my friends from Indonesia, we will have, like a gathering. We will go outside together and break our fasting together because, yeah, mostly we need to cook by ourselves. So, and the dish, mostly Indonesian dish.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. We see all the visuals right there from Natasha and also Hanifa about sharing foods with all the Indonesian friends and of course the abroad friends. Now talk to us about do you find it difficult to perform key rituals such as fasting and performing taraweh right there in Malaysia? Let's go to Natasha first.
For me myself, because Malaysia is a Muslim majority country, so there are not many of difficulties that I face during the Ramadan. Maybe the one that I find it interesting is the time differences. Of course, why the Hanifa have a better experience about this, but even though there is only 1 hour time difference between Malaysia and Indonesia, the Western Indonesian time, with Malaysia being ahead. But surprisingly, I think the sunrise and the sunset happened a bit later here in Malaysia because usually in Indonesia by 6 a.m. it's already bright and then by 7 p.m. it's almost dark or even already dark. But here in Malaysia it's still dark at 6 a.m. and quite bright even at 7 p.m. So I typically in Indonesia wake up for sahur around 3 or 4 a.m. And then I applied the same thing here in Malaysia. And my fast actually ends up being much longer because we break our fast around 7:25 p.m. here.
Oh God! Thank you for mentioning the amount of sunrise and sunsets. So you get used to it on your second year. Okay, Natasha. Thank you for sharing that. Now, how about you, Hanifa? Do you find it difficult to perform key rituals there in Japan, in Okayama?
Yeah, I think yeah, when the first time I came to Japan, it's the Ramadan is during summer. So as Natasha said, it's we need to spend like 16 to 17 hours only to perform fasting, which is much longer than what I experienced in Indonesia. So it's very tough at that time. But like this year we started in March, so it's actually spring break here, spring season in Japan. So actually it's much easier than before. So but what I thought it's kind of difficult here, it's not the practicing the fasting itself, but how to explain our practice, what are we doing right now, why we are fasting to the Japanese people, which is not so familiar with the practice. So sometimes I need to find myself, explain the things that such a basic things actually, and I've never had experience explaining that kind of things to Indonesian people, because basically we know about fasting, when, why, and like such a basic rule. So yeah, that's I think the one that I found kind of difficult here, challenging. Just a small one though.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. It's an interesting case study between Malaysia and Japan, especially in Okayama. Now, I want to know about the Lebaran in Malaysia and Japan, both ways. Since we are having the Lebaran days in less than 1 week. So how's the Lebaran in Malaysia, Natasha? If you can share some of the stories.
Lebaran in Malaysia.
Yeah.
I think people here are very anticipated about it because we can see a lot of queue in the shopping malls for them buying the Raya clothing, and even if you scroll the social media, there's a lot of bazaar for clothing, and yeah, they're very looking forward for the Lebaran here in Malaysia.
Okay, so I guess it's pretty similar right there in Malaysia, in Indonesia also. Okay, the scenery is similar. Now, how about in Okayama, Japan? If you can share with us, Hanifa.
Okay, so actually this is my first time experience, what is it? Like eat in Okayama, because previously I used to live in Tokyo. So during my time in Tokyo, we usually go to the embassy, Indonesian embassy. We go to the church, the mosque first, the Indonesian mosque first, and then we go to Indonesian embassy, because they used to provide us like some specialties such as rendang, and then a lontong sayur or something like that, which it's kind of difficult to find and cook it for ourselves. So we I think a lot of Indonesian living in Japan, especially around Tokyo, we really wait for that kind of special occasion actually.
Okay, glad to know. You are sharing foods and stories with Indonesian living abroad. Now, for the last bit, what do you miss the most about Ramadan here in Indonesia, since it is your second year, Natasha, and it is your 7th year in Japan, Hanifa? So let's go to Natasha first. What do you miss the most about Ramadan in Indonesia?
I think the first thing is, of course, spending time with my family, because Ramadan in Indonesia is somehow very different, even though it's quite similar. The situation is quite similar, but having Ramadan with your family is really nice, because after all, it's going to the bazaar together, praying tarawih together with them as are very nice to have. But here, being alone is, even though, yes, still, even though the situation is same, but it feels very different.
Ah, please come home soon, Natasha. Family misses you here in Indonesia. How about you, Hanifa? What do you miss the most Ramadan in Indonesia?
Yes, I think, spending time together, break the fasting with your family is one of the most thing that I miss right now. But the other things maybe like, the absence of the call of prayer, like azan or just Quran recitation, almost impossible to hear that in Japan. So sometimes I feel kind of miss that. So I just like turn on my application, yes, kind of application in my phone to just, to reduce my missing. Yeah, that kind of things, I think.
Okay, thank you for sharing the stories of performing Ramadan abroad, Natasha and Hanifa. We learn a lot right here, as always, for the viewer in TVRI World. So happy fasting and happy early Lebaran for Natasha and Hanifa.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much.
Arigato gozaimasu. Now we're back on the studio on TVRI World. What a talk. Let's go with another.